We have a massive Heat free agency update as the Miami Heat are among the favorites to acquire multiple-time All-Star point guard Russell Westbrook. I'm here to break down all of the new information on this episode of Heat Digest and whether or not this seems like a good idea for this Heat organization going forward. We'll break down all of that on this episode of Heat Digest, but first remember to stay up to date with everything Miami Heat by scrolling down and clicking the subscribe button, as nearly 90% of you guys watching this video are not currently subscribed. We do appreciate the love and support, so thank you guys. But now let's get to it and break down Westbrook to Miami. Now, this is not the first time we are having this conversation on this channel, as just a month and a half ago, if you will, we got odds of the same idea, and the Heat were the favorites to acquire Russell Westbrook. Now, as some time has gone on, odds have changed, the situation has changed entirely, and now the Heat find themselves in the top four, but just behind teams like the Kings as well as the New York Knicks. But again, it seems like the Heat still have a legitimate chance to go out and acquire Russell Westbrook this offseason, and I think this would not be a bad idea. Now, it seems like it's being held up for one reason or another, and that's what we're going to break down on this episode right now. Full Court Pass went on to highlight something that Jack Fisher went on to tweet. Malcolm Brogdon and Russell Westbrook's markets are being held up by Ben Simmons. Now, Ben Simmons is really just having a great offseason as he's working out, trying out for teams, and really highlighting what his abilities really still are on the NBA stage. But with that happening, teams are holding out, waiting to see whether or not they are going to be involved in the Ben Simmons sweepstakes. And if they are, obviously they are going to go in other directions in comparison rather than Russell Westbrook or Brogdon. If that is the case, it seems like the Miami Heat may be in a really good chance and a really good opportunity to go out there and swoop someone like Westbrook at a very, very low and discounted price. If you guys don't know, the last 2 to 3 contracts Westbrook has signed have been 1 or 2 year deals for roughly $3 and $3.5 million per season. I believe the last one he just came off of was 2 years, 2 years, $6.3 million. The year prior to that, or the contract prior to that, was a 1 year, $3.5 million deal. Westbrook is really turning into a journeyman looking to compete and win an NBA championship. In order to do so, he's trying to fit in on any championship level team as really a complimentary role player, someone that would be coming off the bench as a form of a spark plug, a piece of dynamite with basically no fuse. And that's exactly what the Miami Heat could use in the sense of another guard coming off the bench, assuming that Terry Rozier will not be playing basketball for this Miami Heat team. As currently constructed, this Miami Heat roster is pretty damn good. The only real big blemish that they're dealing with is Terry Rozier and whether or not he's even going to be allowed to play basketball. If you guys don't know what I'm referring to, he obviously got in trouble for the gambling scheme operation that's been going on in connections to his name. Obviously, if he's found guilty of that, he will be kicked out of the NBA entirely and obviously on the Miami Heat organization. Now, if that does happen, it may even be the best case scenario for the Miami Heat because it would open up a roster spot without having to trade Terry Rozier. As we all know, he has zero trade market, and it mainly may be because of the gambling problems that are circling around him, but it also could be because of the lack of production anyone has seen from him since really the last year and a half, the last 2 years since he actually arrived in Miami. It's been a big flaw for this Heat team. They took a chance on Rozier, gave up someone like Kyle Lowry in a draft pick in hopes that Terry Rozier was going to be a substantial piece to this Heat team, not only offensively, but overall. That obviously did not take place, and now they're looking for someone else to really be that complimentary guy off the bench when players like De'Vion Mitchell and Tyler Hero have to exit the game, and they don't have to solely rely on a rookie and sophomore guard in Kasparis as well as Pelle Larsson. Russell Westbrook, a veteran guy who has been around the league for a long, long time. He's played in both conferences. He's been wildly successful as an individual as well as in the team aspect of things. He is as accomplished as anyone that's ever played the game. And that may seem crazy because Westbrook has a lot of negative things tagged to him because of the ball hog speculation and the claims that he is a ball hog or the claims that he is stat padding and this and that. You cannot just stat pad and get triple doubles. If that were the case, everyone would be doing it. It's like LeBron and these guys that obviously have the ability to do it would be stat padding every single game trying to get records like Oscar Robinson and Russell Westbrook that they currently have. because it's not a walk in the park to go out and get a triple double. And it's something that we saw Westbrook do in consecutive seasons for the entirety of those seasons. He is a once in a generational player, especially at the guard position. He maintains athleticism we've only seen from a handful of other point guards. In my lifetime, that list is very small. Players like Derrick Rose, players like Russell Westbrook, players like John Wall early in his career, fresh out of the University of Kentucky, playing for the Washington Wizards. Those guys have levels of athleticism that can't be taught, that can't really be replicated, and you can't just morph players into that form of athlete. This is something they were born with, something they've worked on over years and years and years of playing the game of basketball and strictly just being a superb athlete. Russell Westbrook, as a veteran leader, someone who's been around the league, someone who has been to deep playoff run after deep playoff run with an array of different teams, could be a substantial helping veteran figure for this Miami Heat organization if he happens to fall in their laps because Ben Simmons and Malcolm Brogdon end up elsewhere, resulting in Russell Westbrook finding a team late in this offseason or early in the next season where he could quickly adapt and fit in as a role player coming off the bench and really just a spark plug of a piece for any team he finds himself on. I personally love this idea. There's a lot of conversations about a bunch of different guys the Miami Heat could go out there and possibly acquire to boost this roster. But if you look up and down, if you look at the bigs, you have Kel'el Ware and Bam Adebayo. That's a damn good front court. No way around it. But then you look at the backup, Nikola Jovic, someone that is slowly but surely developing into a player of his own with three-level scoring, the ability to handle the basketball as well as rebound. No, he's not the greatest defender as someone who will be playing the power forward position, but with that luxury, you can move him to the 3, you can move him to the 4, and he can fit in really as a hybrid 4 that can stretch the floor and really move the basketball effectively. Outside of that, Haywood Highsmith, the second string, or the third string, I should say, power forward, not the biggest figure, someone that you wouldn't really label or recognize as a power forward or as a big in general. Really more of a stretch 3, if you will. I know it seems weird to say because it's usually a stretch 4, a stretch 5 that you're referencing. If you put him at the power forward, and that is Haywood Highsmith that we're talking about, yes, the team would be smaller, but the defense would be absolutely phenomenal. But then again, you would be smaller. The rebounding would be a bit of a flaw. Someone like Russell Westbrook could be implemented at the point guard position, and that lineup would not only get bigger, but the defensive abilities would then enhance. Westbrook is obviously a better guy when it comes to lateral movement and the ability to move his feet across the hardwood and be able to really defend other athletic guards is, I believe, higher than someone of Tyler Hero, someone that has been picked on defensively for the entirety of his career. Yes, Westbrook is a liability near the painted area, as most guards really are. But on the perimeter, he would be a great supplementary guy to throw in there as in a defensive unit with guys like Bam and Kel'el Ware and Haywood Highsmith and Jaquez. That would be a dominant 5 of just defense-minded basketball. I think it would be a great move for this Miami Heat team, and I can't wait to see how it all plays out. Currently not the odds-on favorites, but there's a lot of things going on with Sacramento. If you guys would like to hear an in-depth idea of how DeMar DeRozan could end up in Miami, check out the next video on Heat Digest as we break that down in depth and how the Miami Heat could not only benefit from getting Russell Westbrook, but possibly even DeMar DeRozan in more of a salary dump. We'll break down all of that on the next episode, so make sure to check it out and subscribe to the channel to know whenever we do post new content. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you on the next episode of Heat Digest.